Okay, let's go ahead and get started, just to make sure that we have time. So again, this is week 2 of our Merge Coaches training. So today we're talking about strategic planning, which is why we have Alejandra here, or Ale. So Ale, if you want to start by just telling us a little bit about the strategic planning area.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm switching my English mode. It's not perfect, but let me know if you have questions or if you don't know a term, so we can explain more about it. So I am part of the strategic planning coordination, and maybe you will say, what is that? How I eat that? We say that in Spanish, con qué se come? um, it's a little bit confusing, but I think it's very important. And since 5 years ago, we've been introducing this area to Merge because we thought that we needed to um, have more strategy, visualize more our goals, how we get there. So these things that you see here in the screen are part of the strategic planning. So we develop and implement these things. For example, the vision. The vision is our dream, our future. And our mission is how we get there. Like all the plans, all the objectives, who does what goes in this, in the mission. And then we have our values. Like we stick to these values. And since Merge started, we've been having them, but maybe they've been changing during the time. So I think you saw in the first session, sorry, you saw the values, right, Mandy?
Yes.
So maybe, I don't know, Abram, do you remember one of our values? Sorry, I put you in the spot, Abram. But maybe
Yeah.
you remember.
Oh no, I thought I forgot my notes, but I don't.
It's okay if you can't remember, but it's
Yeah.
good to have them always in mind.
Like it's intercultural relationships. It's one
Yes,
of them.
very good. Esther, do you remember one?
No, no,
She
no.
wasn't here.
What?
Yeah, I was.
Hey, is there? Okay, I'm not testing you guys. I'm just um, reinforcing this, like the importance of the values and the vision, the mission, and the values. They need to be imprinted, like in our hearts. We need to remember them in all Merge trips, not just when we are in the trip, but before, during, and after. When we choose a host, when we choose a staff, it always needs to be there. Then we have our organizational chart. And this is like how who does what, and what each person does, functions, and the who is not in top of someone else, but how we manage everything in Merge. And Abram, can you? Oh, yes, thank you. And at the end, I will show you the organizational chart that we have. We can change it also. It's not like it's not gonna be like that forever. We've been changing actually this organizational chart. Actually, and probably 7 years ago we didn't have it. So we've been evolving, and but it's important to see it, so you have in mind how we are structured. And then we have all the strategies, how we get to the target, how we get to that dream, how we become sustainable, what is going to happen when Dell leaves in 6 years, so we can be sustainable and we we're not dependable of one person, in this case Dale. And Dale, it's very important, but and he's gonna stick with Merge forever, but in the future we will need to be more organized and know how we will get to be sustainable. And then we have all the long-term objectives. Like maybe you see that in the future, but we are working right now the strategies for 5 to 7 years. So we need to work in those right now. And then, of course, our action plans, all the details of how we accomplish something. It's all the details of how we get there. And this is like a cycle. We need to monitor, evaluate, get feedback from everybody, and change the things if we need to change them. Can you move to the other one, Mandy? Thank you. Here you see, this is the organizational chart, and we need to update it, of course, with some names. Abraham needs to be there. We need to put Efrain. We need to put Patrick. And who else needs to be there, Mandy? Sifa, and that's it, right? Okay, so we need to change it. But you see here that we have the ECC. Dell is a consultant right now. He's not like, he's not just the director, or he's not the director, he's the consultant, because he's in this transition of leaving Merge as a director. So right now, Dell is transitioning in that. Evie is our assistant, but she's the Serve Globally manager. Like, she sees all the details, administration details in the office. And then we have our coaches, and then you see our global partners. That's a name for all our ministries, the churches and nonprofits with whom we collaborate or partner. And here also you see, local staff. My site is very bad. Local staff, these you choose them, remember. You are in charge of your local staff. And then at the end, we have support staff. That's staff that maybe is not always with us, but that it's incredible volunteering with something specifically. That's it. And you can keep going, Mandy. And this one is more like an internal organizational structure, and it's circular because we think we are not hierarchical, that we collaborate, that we no one is above, no one is below, you know. We are all in the same level. So we have here, you can see the staff, training, communications, finances, strategic planning. In the middle, you see the core values of the ECC, the Covenant Church, and then Dell and Evie, because they support all this structure. And in the middle of the big circles, the blue ones, you see the light blue ones, the governance, programs, operations, plans. All these things are in our structure. So, and you see how we connect to each other. We always need to be giving and having feedback from the other parts, the other areas. Is there any question to this last part? No? Okay. Yeah. A lot of you know this.
All right, then we're going to move on, and we're going to talk today a little bit about choosing healthy Merge hosts. Part of the reason we talk about this on the day that we're talking about strategic planning is that is part of strategic planning is like opening new countries. And so we kind of thought this is kind of similar to that in kind of choosing healthy Merge hosts. So this would be if you're looking for a new host site within your country, or when we open new countries and they're looking for who they're going to partner with in that country. So what we're looking for when we think about healthy Merge hosts, that's those global partners that we're working with, is we want them to be community oriented. So we're looking for how are they working in their communities and how are and just how is that a part of that um that ministry or that church? How is that a part of what they're doing? Are they involved in their community in ways of biblical justice? Are they involved in evangelism, community development, outreach, ministries of compassion? These are all things that we can be looking for in potential host sites. Next, we want to look that we're not just painting a wall every year, every 2 years when we go back again and again and again, that we're painting the same wall over and over and over again. But that we're really doing more in the community and for the community with the ministry that we're partnering with. The next thing that we're talking about is healthy leadership. And that is important. Are they leaders that are looking toward discipleship? Are they looking to disciple those around them? Are they looking for training for themselves and training for those that they are discipling? And are they good at working on teams? All of these things are show great leadership skills, and those are things that can be really helpful when we're looking for emerge hosts. So then again, what we're maybe not looking for is a place where the pastor's family leads everything and no one else is able to be a part of what's happening. And sometimes that does happen, and we're just looking for how are we looking for leaders that are building up other leaders within their community. 3, we're looking for hosts and global partners that are self-sustainable. We're looking for ministries and churches that are utilizing their local assets, that they aren't just looking for a team to come and bring them lots of money and give them lots of things, but that they're already self-sustainable. They're already doing the work in their communities. And again, that they're not begging for someone else to come and provide. We really want to be partnering with ministries that are already up and running, ministries that are established and self-sustainable, so that our teams can be in a healthy, equal relationship with them. Next is good communication. We're really looking for hosts that have good communication. This may mean that they're good at calling you back or emailing back when you're contacting them. You want them to be organized. Hopefully, they're asking questions and wanting to learn more. This is important when we're looking at a good host, because if you don't have a good communicator, if there's not a good open way of communicating with them, it's going to make planning and organizing a trip very, very difficult. As there's so many things that we think about, which we'll talk more about the planning sheet in coming weeks. But as we're planning a trip, there's so many things to be thinking about and collaborating with the global partners on, that we really need them to be willing and open to communicate, and to communicate often and clearly. And what we don't want is this little guy to be saying, I never heard back from them, so I have no idea what's going on. Oftentimes, the team that's coming are going to be very anxious to know a lot of details and to know a lot of details very far in advance. And that's where that good communication with our global hosts is helpful. The next thing is we want them to encompass our emerge values, right? So this is something that we talked about last week. And so it's that, again, building intercultural relationships, fostering mutual learning, forming global partnership, creating participation with opportunities, and leading toward change living in Christ. So just as Merge values each of these things, we should be looking for hosts and global partners that also value the same things. Next is building relationships. Obviously, just like that, building of intercultural relationships is so important to Merge. It's so important that it became one of the Merge values. It also should be something that we should be looking for in our host sites and our global partners that we work with. So are they wanting to spend time with the team? Are they looking to develop friendships? Are they seeing that people are more important than projects? These are just kind of some things to be looking for when we think about what would be a healthy site or a healthy ministry for a Merge team to partner with. And again, not thinking, what can I get out of them for free from these ignorant foreigners, right? That's what we're not looking for, but rather who wants to come alongside and partner together in what's going on. And next is, and last but not least, is that we want our partners to align with those ECC values. So again, the 6 affirmations of the Evangelical Covenant Church is the centrality of the Word of God, the importance of new birth in Christ, dedication to the whole mission of the church, fellowship with other believers, a dependence on the Holy Spirit, and then freedom in Christ. So again, those are kind of those 6 main affirmations or beliefs of the Covenant Church. So just thinking about the ministries that we're partnering with, are these also important things for them? Not just places that are looking for justice, but looking beyond that too, more than that. And sometimes we just have to try it out, right? Like this little baby, sometimes we try it and it did not work, right? But it's always a good thing to just kind of keep in mind when we're choosing a new host that these are kind of the things we're looking for. And then sometimes we try it out and it just doesn't work and it's not the right fit. And then other times we'll try it out and we're like, oh, this is so much better than even what I expected. So it's okay to try it out. It's okay to say like, well, let's give it a try this time and then see how it goes and go on from there. And that's what we have kind of support for as well.
Mandy, something that I was thinking about that it's not there, but that actually is part of the affirmations or the values of the Covenant Church is the affirmation of women in ministry, because we've been having so many hosts or global partners that they don't respect our, for example, pastors or leaders, here our coaches, our women coaches. So I think that's something also very important for us to see how women participate in those ministries or churches, because we want them to value our partners and leadership too.
And I would say, like, along with that, like, I don't think that they have to choose to do that in their own church, but to at least be respectful of that value of like in the Covenant Church in the United States and Canada, like they ordain women to be like pastors. So I think it's, again, there's a freedom in that of they don't have to choose to do the same, but looking for someone that's going to be respectful of female pastors that may come on a trip. Like, are they going to be respected as a pastor? And again, like Ale said, like female coaches, are they going to be respected in the same way that a male coach would as well? Yeah, thanks, Ale. And now we're going to have Ale cover, probably for the rest of our time tonight, all of the things about safety and security.
Yeah, and it is a big topic and very important, and we don't have the time to explain you all the details of the security protocol that we have with Merge. But this one that we will see right now is very important. I think it's the basic for each of our trips. This cannot be, how you say, like missed. Like, oh, I didn't fill it up. Sorry. This is mandatory, and this is new. We have other documents and other protocols and things that you will learn later. We will have especially a training for security protocols, but this one we will see it today thoroughly. And please let me know if you have questions. So this is called our security protocol form. How many of you filled it before? I did. Esther, good. Charmaine, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if Charmaine, you had a team before, but no, right? Okay. And Abraham, maybe you are familiarized with it because you've been partnering with Danny. So every time we have a trip, we fill this up, and actually it's in our planning sheet. It says there, fill up the site security form. So the first thing that you see here is phone numbers. So we need to fill these up with all these phone numbers. And you need to go and research for those. For example, this is a security protocol that I filled up here in Mexico. And I went to research all these phones because I didn't have them. I think we have in the chat something, maybe. Oh, okay, Charmaine. Yeah. Okay, perfect, Charmaine. Thank you for your comment in the chat. So here, for example, I put the US or Canadian embassy with including the emergency phone, because they have one phone for day or for any questions that you have, but then they have an emergency phone for nights also. So you need to be sure that you put both. Then a doctor.
Can I just add in with that US or Canadian embassy? So with that, like you would have to be paying attention to where is our team coming from? What country are they coming from to make sure that you had the correct information there. So I think for some coaches, this first part probably just gets filled out automatically and you probably leave it filled out when you get your next team. So that's just something you want to check each and every time to make sure if most of your teams come from the US and then all of a sudden you have a team from Canada, you're going to want to check and make sure that you have the correct embassy there.
Yes, and don't assume that you already have the number. For example, next year, if I have a group, I will need to go back again to the site and check that is the same number, okay? Then a local doctor or physician, I will say that it's better if you have someone that is close to the group, or like that you know from the church or a friend or your physician, and that you can ask that person like, hey, I'm gonna have a team from the US. Can you be available for 24/7? Be sure that they know so they can answer the phone. And then here, air ambulance, evacuation to the US or Canada. In this case, we need to call first Evie or Dell, and they will channel that. They will set up the protocol for the air ambulance in case we need it. Okay, we use it once actually here in Mexico. And I called them and they were the ones, like Serve Globally was the one doing this for us. But then here we have the police, and I have different kinds of police. You need to be sure which one is closer to your area where your site is going to be, or your house is going to be, or the church. Maybe there's two different ones because you are in at nights in one place, but during the days in another place. So be sure to put all of them here. And then also other numbers, important numbers. I put here the firefighters, the Red Cross, all the numbers that you need. And then here, next to that is Dell's number. Then be sure you have one leadership team person. In this case, for example, Danny lives here close to my area. So I know that in any time I need her, I can call her for an emergency. And make sure that you mention that to that leadership team person that will be ready for you to answer any call. We have also Evie.
Can I jump in, Lily? And I would even recommend putting all the phone numbers for the leadership team members on there, because let's say you call Donnie and she's busy, or I don't know, she's taking a shower, right? If it's an emergency and you want to have the next person on there, that's always a good thing. Just to have multiple people on there can always be helpful.
Yes. And I put first leadership team, but my recommendation is to put first Evie. So Dell first, then Evie, and then leadership team. That's the protocol. But also you have here Deb Maston is the person in charge of a staff for Serve Globally, but also for contingency, that word, it's hard for me, emergency plans and protocols. So if you cannot If your call cannot be answered by any of the above people that you have here, then you keep going and call the others, Dev and the regional coordinators, which Los Restrepo. Okay, you can keep going, Andy. Okay, so then
I
here
have a
you
question about it. Oh,
Sure.
sorry.
Yes, Abram, go ahead.
So is this a form that everybody gets just to fill it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it is in your merge like folders and forms. So just make sure that you know where it is.
And
But I think in the planning sheet it's there, right? Like there's a link in the planning sheet.
I don't think there's a link, but I think we're going to work on that. I also think that Abraham, I don't know if you have access to the merge folders yourself yet, do you? Okay, I will make sure that you get access to that, and I want to make sure all of our new coaches have access to the merge folders.
Yeah, perfect. Then we have locations. We need to know where the embassy is. And I didn't mention, but sometimes there's no embassy and there's consulates. So be sure that you research well on those things. Where is the clinic, the pharmacy, and the police station?
Can I add something else? Sorry.
Yes.
The other thing is for some of our, I think generally in Latin America, there is either a US or Canadian embassy or consulate. In some of the countries that we're working in, there may be neither, and you may have to go like, what's the closest one in your general region? And that's another important thing to think about. So if there isn't one in your country, what would be the next closest one?
Yeah. Okay. And in case of natural disaster, civil war, outbreak of violence, you need to have a protocol. You need to know what to do in case of all these things. On 2009, I was in a huge earthquake in Chile, and my group left hours before the earthquake. So be sure that you put here all the natural disasters that could happen in your area. Like here, Mexico City is a very seismic region. So I need to know that. You need to know if you're close to the beach or close to a river. You need to know all of these natural disasters that could happen in your area. The safe house, choose well. Maybe the place where you're staying is not a safe house. Maybe you need to choose another place. And the routes, route A, route B, route C, because you don't know if the roads are going to be closed or damaged. So be sure you have different options to the safe house, to the airport, to the embassy. And what I do is I save them in my Google Maps so I can open the routes really quick. And I'm not looking for them really nervous at the moment, emergency transportation also. Maybe, and this is very, very important because sometimes I have seen in other places with other coaches that they don't have a car at nights, for example, because they depend maybe in the host cars. You always need to have a car for emergency. It doesn't matter if it's a small car, but you need to be sure to know how you're going to transport people. Okay. And then the communication plan. I create always a WhatsApp with all the people involved in my contingency plan or for my emergency, and I inform them there. Here you can see how I put all this information. Okay, now dynamics in the community, other organizations, political and churches. Think about scenarios and create possibilities. Like, what happens if someone comes inside the church right now and is drugged and it's armed, for example? Or if I go to a market and someone is robbed, you need to create scenarios in order to be ready to know your area, you know, where you are, your community, where you're moving, all those things. The restrictions of the group too, you need to think about if there's someone with disabilities, or if someone is an elderly person, or a baby or a child. You need to be ready for those special needs that people have in the teams, or in the people that are partnering with you at the moment. List them and then train your team. You know, you need to make them aware of those things. The geography, and then the house, the safety of the house for all these kind of groups. You know, if your group has babies, you need to be careful of those things. Cash security, where you keep the money. There's been money stole in trips. So you need to be careful about that, and tell the group where they need to put the money. And if they are robbed, you're not responsible of that. Maybe the other one is already filled up. Mandy? Social media too. Personal and merge staff plan, social media. Okay, yeah. Staff training, for example, assess the group. If you have a group, if someone has expertise in first aid, or if it's certified as a lifeguard, CPR, all these things you need to know.
And we are able to help you find first aid and CPR training for you as a coach. We would love for all of our coaches to be trained and certified in CPR and first aid. So if you aren't currently and you want to be, find yourself a class, let us know how much it costs, and we will make sure you get that.
Yeah. Do you have a question in this one? We can keep going if an important one is be all the people in your emergency plan or in your WhatsApp group knows English. You need the form in Spanish too. And I will comment this too. Yeah, I think filled up form. But other information, like it's important to know the address of the embassy and the consulate, because they will help you with everything you need, include protecting the team. Actually, you can transport the people there and they will care for all the people. Important. For example, in case of a death or a kidnapping, they need to be right away. And in case, this is the medical part, in case of if a team member is injured or ill, we expect this from you guys, from the merge staff. Look for help always. It doesn't matter if it's a scratch or like something that is little, you always need to address it, especially if the person is telling you, hey, I need this, or this happened to me, because that person is nervous of his or her health. So be sure that you do that. We've been having sometimes coaches in the past that say, oh, don't worry, it's okay, you don't need to wash it, you don't need to clean it, you don't need to put a Band-Aid, anything, don't worry, we're gonna see it later, and then you forget. So be sure that you address it in the moment, and you know that we have always with us our first aid kit. It doesn't matter if the team brings one, you need to have your own too. And if you have different sites, you need to have one in all of the sites. We need to create a budget for this. This is very important. The local clinic, be sure that you always take the person. Don't wait, because maybe you don't know, but don't wait about it. Just if you see that there's signs of alarm, you need to take them right away to a local clinic. It's better, because we are not doctors. We don't know if something worse is going to happen. And be sure which clinic, because it doesn't matter the price. If it's a private clinic and the attention is better, just go and do it, because the insurance will cover that. Charmaine is grading something here. Yes, you will, Charmaine. All of you will have access to it. It's in the same form, actually, all these things. It's the same form that we saw before. It's in the last part of the form. Air evacuation, I told you about that. It's not up to us to call an air ambulance. It's up to Serve Globally, but we have this service. You need to know this. Like one time here, we had someone with a tumor in the brain, and that person was critical. We flew her to the US with this service. And report, always report, no matter what is. If it doesn't matter if you think it's something small, a car crash, you damage, how do you say, Mandy? Like something from the state, like if you damage a pole in the street, or you had a crash, or someone damaged public, I don't know what's the name, but
public property.
Yeah, property, anything, just you need to report it. You need to report it to Evie and Dell, and put all the details. Take pictures. Remember to do it right away in the moment. Don't wait. Yeah.
And again, that's also with anything like injuries and illnesses. If you're taking a team member to the hospital, which I think we missed that one, but if we talk, like, you need to be ready to take someone to the hospital if they have a more serious illness or injury. You need to be prepared to pay cash from that merge money that you have. And also make sure that there's a merge staff person at the hospital with the team member at all times. So again, this is why you need to know where the best clinic and hospital are and before the team gets there, because in that moment, when it's an emergency and it's stressful, you need to know where it is and how to get there immediately. And then that's where you'll do an incident report afterwards, just so that we have everything on record.
Yeah, be sure that you have a translator always, translating to the person that is ill, because that person will be very nervous, not knowing what is happening, okay? Especially with the doctors and at the hospital. Yeah, can you keep going? Okay, local authorities, we need to be aware of this. If you trust the people who you go with, and sometimes you don't know. So be sure that you communicate with the pastor, the local people, because they will know. Like they will tell you, oh no, don't go to that police station because they are corrupted, no? So be sure you rely on your local people always, asking for help, and inform. Get to know what is going on in your community or the site that you are partnering with, what is going on with the authorities, the government, all those things, crime, violence, If there's an alert to that place, you need to know all those things. There's actually an alert from the US, and you will see this in detail later when we have our safety training. We will cover all these things thoroughly. But there is a site from the US government that says, it's like an alert that says, hey, you cannot go to this place. Like it's a recommendation for US citizens.
Yeah, it's the US
Can
State
I-
Department.
Can I tell a story
Mhm.
about an alert that just happened to me in the last team? We went to the beach, right? And one of the team members entered to the ocean, and she started like swimming and all that, super happy because she's a very good swimmer. And then suddenly some of the guys that were at the beach, they told me, "Oh, tell her to come back because there are crocodiles inside us." So we start calling her, and she like runs. She swam really fast, and we told her, and then we saw, it was by mistake, of course, because then we saw like something that says really, but it was really the el rótulo, the sign was very light, like you can see it very well, but that's an alert that you
Oh no.
you need to know.
Yeah, the locals
Right.
were the heroes there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But also I was going to mention, we have different organizations or entities, government entities that have alerts. For example, here we have the weather alert in Mexico City, and I always follow it. So be sure that you follow those things. We have also a seismic alert here in Mexico. So I'm prepared with those things. So I know beforehand what is going to happen with the weather or with any hazard around, especially disasters, natural disasters. But I would recommend you not to take the group to any place that you think is going to be dangerous for them. Yeah, it's better to do something safe, like maybe it's not that fun, but it's safe for them, and it's okay. They don't need to go wild in a trip.
Well, the beach is supposed to be safe, but they have like 3 months without fishing because the government says do not fish. So they the crocodiles take advantage of those 3 months. So they come to the
Wow. Yeah. And sometimes, as Mandy said, you never know because accidents sometimes are not your fault. So just you need to be prepared, and have a good intervention. How to keep teams safe? Always together, always in groups of 4 or more, never by themselves. Never let them go, especially if they are minors. Don't let them go by themselves. They need to have a leader. And the leaders of the group, they are always aware of this, but be sure that you enforce these things. Like you are the ones telling them. It doesn't matter if they have their own rules as a team. You need to be sure that they know your recommendations.
And this,
So
can I
yeah.
interrupt you for a second, Ale? This is all shared when we do their training for the teams. So either this is shared either by the person doing the training or by you guys as coaches when you come on for the cultural part. We may ask like, hey, can someone walk around by themselves? And then we are expecting you to say, we recommend that you always are in groups of 4, always with an adult. We recommend you being with a male, and if possible, being with a merge staff. Those are the kind of the things, like, because these are kind of our merge policies, this is also then what we're expecting you to say when we ask those questions in training. So we're also going to have a more in-depth training coming up for all of our merge staff on like, what are we expecting you to say in this cultural part of the training? Because there are some specific answers that we expect you to say.
Yeah. Low profile, like try to avoid large communities festivals. Sometimes I know that the local people want to show them some things like a festival or participate in something from the community. But if you are going to do it, just be sure that it's safe and that you know the protocols. Like if there's an emergency, how you're going to evacuate, or if something happens, you need to be prepared. But we encourage not to do it. That you avoid big crowds of people, strikes, all those things. Never participate. We encourage the team not to wear t-shirts. I know this was like a super huge thing before, and they traveled all with the same t-shirt since they jumped in the plane and they never take it out. But I always say to my team this, like, hey, you don't know, but you can be target, because they will know that you're American and you need to be careful with this. Right now, we need to take care of the people because we know there's gangs and there's a lot of other risks that Americans are target, So yeah, never put anything in social media, or like, here we are, a big team of 20 Americans, doing this. I don't do it anymore here in Mexico. Your country, sometimes it's safe in your own areas, but here in Mexico, it's not safe anymore to do that. So always low profile. Never put where you are, actually, that's I was sharing about the social media, closed doors. Remember these things, like if teams are staying in hotels, in dorms, retreat centers, churches, they need to know they need to have the keys. They need to know how to unlock doors. They need to be able to evacuate the place. Don't have just one pair of keys, and maybe you don't even know who has those keys. They need to be visible. You need to be sure that all the people know where the keys are and how you unlocked doors. Unlocked, of course, the doors during the night. But
and some of your teams will need to be told that. They'll need to be told, don't open the door unless you know who it is. Make sure you lock the door at night. Some of these teams come from communities that are so small and rural, and that they may not regularly lock the door to their house. And so some of them need to be told these things that to other people in other contexts seem crazy, right?
Yes. I always encourage my teams to sleep without earplugs or without any music, because if there's an alarm, if there's something going on in the place, people need to know. So yeah. And vulnerable possessions, you need to tell the groups, don't leave valuable things in the cars, hotel rooms, homes. I know in the US and Canada, if you leave things in the car, it's okay. But in a lot of places in Latin America, no, it's not. So sometimes we don't tell them these things because we think they know, but actually they don't know. As Mandy said, sometimes they come from really small towns where all the neighbors know each other. So you need to be sure that you tell them all these things. Have them always with them, and encourage them not to bring valuable things, because you never know.
I have a story to add to that, Ali. I remember when I was living in Ecuador, I came back actually to train a merge team, and I was in an airport in Maine, and I was just sitting there waiting for my flight, and I looked across, and the girl that was sitting in front of me got up to go to the bathroom and left her computer just sitting there. And I was like, and she was by herself. There was nobody else there to watch it. And I was born and raised in the United States, and I was so shocked because I was like, anyone could just go up and grab her $1,200 MacBook and just walk away with it. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of places that some teams are coming from and the kind of like culture and ways that some of these people have grown up. And so I think that it's just realizing that can be eye-opening, I think, for a lot of us. But also just remembering that when we're talking about um, teams and how to talk to them about making sure that they're watching their stuff, making sure that they're having their stuff with them at all times.
Yeah. And then the last one is passports. This is a huge thing. Americans and Canadians, they don't want to leave their passports anywhere. They want to keep it. And it's hard for them to give their passports actually to a leader. I have seen that in all these years. But you need to say, hey, in case of like if you lose it or it's a stolen, you're not going back to the US. So what we do is a leader from their team, they're responsible of all the passports. They keep them in a safe place. You need to provide, of course, that place. I mean, you need to be sure it's a safe place and keep them all in a Ziploc bag or a folder or like a bag, something. But they need to keep it in the house or the church or the hotel in a safe, how do you say, safe box or a safe, yeah. And they need to bring a copy of their passports with them all the times, all the places they go. But you need to reassure them that it's going to be okay, because a lot of the times they don't want to give it. But encourage them, like, this is what we do, and it's okay, don't worry.
Yeah, and I think that the most we can do is encourage them. I mean, if the team decides that each person is going to hold on to their own passport, hopefully they're all adults. But if a team of adults decides that each person is going to hold on to their passports, we can say, like, we always recommend that one really responsible person have all of them. But if they're choosing to each have their own, that's
Yes,
their choice.
it's their responsibility if they lose it. And we need to tell them that, like, okay, you keep it, but we're not going to be responsible of that.
But then we're still going to help them even if they do lose it. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's not like, oh, it's your problem, whatever. Yeah, we will help them, but it's good to remind them that it's their responsibility. Active shooter.
Allie, do you want me to talk about active shooter?
Yes, you can go with this one. This is crazy.
And I will say, active shooter is something that people in the United States, like this run, hide, fight, is something that people know. We practice this at the high school I work at. So anyway, people in the United States do know the run, hide, fight. This is if there's an active shooter event in a place that you are. The first option that you should try is if you can safely get away, you should get out as soon as possible. Call for help. Get others out if you can. Leave any valuables behind. If someone doesn't want to go, encourage them to come, but don't wait too long. And that's always the first option if it's available. If you're too close to an active shooter and you can't run, you hide in the darkest place possible behind protective barriers. They say don't all huddle in one place. You spread out to make it the safest possible. If you have doorways, block doorways, put as much furniture, heavy things in front of the doorways, lock the doors, turn off all cell phones so they're not making noise, turn off the lights, and just be prepared with things that you can throw if needed. And then that's where the fight comes in. Fight is a last resort. And it's just if there is no other alternative, if you are already in a place that you are hiding and the door is breached by an active shooter, you are ready to fight with whatever you have. Throwing items at shooters, especially from multiple people, causes them to hesitate, miss, duck, and confuse them enough to give you a chance. Anything can be a weapon to be thrown at an active shooter. It can be books, it can be lamps, it can be, I'm looking around me at what I have next to me. anything can be thrown at an active shooter in a situation like that.
Yeah, and it happens in Latin America too.
Mhm.
You know, you need to be prepared. We here in Mexico, we have a lot of these things happening in malls, in festivals, in other places. So you need to be ready for those things. And hear the news. This is related to the next one, then number 9. Hear the news. Be aware of the things that are happening around you that could be put something or a potential risk. Also, the other one, risk taking. Monitor everything that the group is doing. Never think like, oh, this is something innocent. Don't worry. You're jumping from the roof and you're a teenager and you're doing a challenge with the other teenagers. It's okay. I mean, it's fun. No, just you need to be sure that you tell you need to tell the leader. And then the leader needs to go and say it right away. Anything that you think it's a risk, because sometimes you see risk in different way because you're from that area. You're a local person. Sometimes maybe the Americans or the Canadians are not aware of these risks. Then transportation. It is best if all transportation is organized by the merge staff. Be aware of small transportation. We encourage you to sit one person in each seat. We know the Latino style is like, or the style in other places is like, oh, we will fit all the people that we can in the car. But please think like Americans in this situation. I'm always sure with transportation that each person can fasten a seatbelt. If I have babies, if I have children, they need to use a car seat, and you need to be responsible to provide for one. Look in your community. I'm sure someone will lend you one. Okay. And then, especially because if there's a car accident, the I forgot the insurance. The insurance is not going to cover you or the person that is driving. Please be careful of this. I think it's better to budget a good transportation than don't be prepared and just use the local transportation or the local cars, and not be aware of these things. Sometimes we don't even do it as coaches, or in our own families. But I really encourage you to think about this because car accidents are very high. So,
And they may
yeah.
think that being on a motorcycle taxi or something like that, or riding on the back of a motorcycle might look like fun or something like that. But because our ultimate goal is making sure that all of our participants are safe, we sometimes need to not let them or strongly discourage them from doing things that they might think are fun or new or something that they wouldn't do in their home context. And kind of encouraging them to not do that there.
Yeah, not even the back of the truck. I never let them, actually. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not fun, but I'm taking care of you. So, yeah. And swimming, this is a big one because years ago we had someone, and I'm gonna tell it, okay? Someone died in Ecuador. A young person died because that man was swimming in a river, and it was, I think, the tourist day for the group, and the river was very dangerous. The stream was horrible. There was no signal around. There was no hospital or assistance, like any help around. It was a remote place. So please be careful of choosing swimming. Sometimes I discourage this. If there's no safeguard around, if there's no signal, if there's no safety protocols for swimming, I discourage it. Totally. I always say there's another touristic option that we can do. But because the burden is going to be on you, and you will have that responsibility. So please, at the end of the day, what happened with this guy, everything was okay with us. The parents didn't sue Merge, and the story is amazing. Sometimes we can tell you what happened with that story, but it was something like huge, and we were in risk actually as an organization. Mandy, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I would just say, and again, if you are going to take a group swimming, make sure that you have life jackets available, life-saving equipment. If you can go to a place that has lifeguards available, lifeguards there, that's always better. If you regularly take group swimming at places where there aren't lifeguards and you want to look for a lifeguard certification class for yourself or other members of your merge staff, let us know. Look for that in your area, and we'll make sure that it gets done.
Yeah, I'm thinking still about that new site that I have is in an island, and like the only fun thing to do is go to the beach. But it's also like, well, they don't have a clinic there. The doctors just go like one time a week, and they don't have lifeguard. I don't think they have one. They also don't have like a police station because, well, it's very safe. It's very secure, the item. But I'm thinking about that. Still that's the only fun thing to do, and that like the only touristic thing to do is go to the beach, and I'm thinking what I'm gonna do.
Mhm. Well, I don't think it's that we can never take group swimming.
Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah.
making sure that we are taking all the necessary precautions. I think another thing that's good to think about is like a lot of our teams come from the middle of the United States where they aren't anywhere near an ocean. So they grew up swimming in lakes and things like that that don't have like the currents and tides that an ocean does. So even just if you are taking a group to the beach, like doing some like little like training or like informational sessions for them about what tides and riptides and all of those different currents can look like. I think like those things are important. And I think talking to the group leader about like swimming is something that can be a dangerous thing. We will have life jackets available. We can talk to you about the different currents and obviously be watching out. Like I know here in like the United States, like if there's certain like types of riptides, like beaches are closed. So you as a merge staff knowing like, okay, when I see a certain type of current at this beach, and maybe it's talking to the locals, right, that live on the island of like, are there certain times or certain kind of currents that they wouldn't swim when they see that? And then saying like, hey, maybe we need to have an alternate option of what we're gonna do if that happens.
Yeah, and I love how you're thinking, Esther, because that's the mind that we need to have. Since we start planning a trip, this is the mind, like what if, how I keep my team safe and my staff, of course, and always go ahead of thinking the worst scenarios. It's good because you will be prepared. It's having this mind of plan A, plan B, plan C, just in case this happens.
And we're always available as like a leadership team. If you're like, I have some more questions about this specific site, and you're like, hey, Ale, can you meet with me to kind of talk through the different like scenarios that I should be thinking about, or like whether I can really take people to the site that doesn't have a clinic or anything nearby. Like we can always do like one-on-one meetings with you just to like talk more about that like specific site and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, including filling up your safety protocol form. Like if you're not sure, we can do it together. Mhm. Is this the last one, Mandy? The last slide? Oh, yeah, perfect. Because we are actually past 8, 7 minutes.
Yep. So this last one is just like has some links to different, so that security protocol is the one that we've been going through. And then just some of our other like protocol and things that are available. So eventually you'll get this whole slideshow shared with you. So you'll have access to all these links, and all these things are in those merge folders that I'll make sure get shared with you as well.
Yeah, but be familiarized with the names and where you can find them beforehand. Don't wait until something happens. Okay.
Yeah. And another one I want to highlight that I want everyone to take some time to read after we end, I'll send it to you via WhatsApp, is just the child protection protocols. That's a new one that we have developed, and I think it's just really important for us all to know it. So I don't think we need to go through it tonight, but I'll send it to you. And then if you guys have any questions, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Are
we
we still enforcing COVID-19 protocols?
Not as we used to, but there's actually some protocols, because if you get someone sick, you need to isolate that person. I mean, now the symptoms are really mild, but we don't know like if there's going to be something new, a surge, or how do you say, a cepa? We call it cepa in Spanish, Mandy, but like a new one that is maybe risky for the people. So we
a new
need to
strain.
keep updated. Yeah, a stream. Yeah.
Strain. Mhm.
Yeah, we need to use some protocols, not all of them, but yeah, especially the isolation, so you don't get all the group sick, and maybe, I don't know, you have like 8 people in bed and it's going to be a nightmare for you, you know.
And then the only other thing is making sure that your country doesn't have any specific COVID-19 requirements for entry.
Yeah, keep updated with the news, because we never know.
All right.
And
Adley, would you mind praying for us as we finish up tonight?
Yes, I was just going to say that we keep building all these guys. We are improving things. We're trying to get all the information together, work with a safety, not just the protocols, but a safety plan that covers a lot of things. So we will update you with those things, and we will have more training. Don't worry. It's not like, oh, there's a lot of details with protocols and I'm so nervous because I'm not getting all the details and everything, all the documents and information. So don't worry about it.
And then if you have anything to add, if you have any suggestions for us, please let us know. If you're like, hey, this wasn't something you talked about when you talked about safety, and I think it's really important, please let us know.
Yes. And I'm ready to pray if you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, you asked me, right, Mandy?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will do it in Spanish. Gracias, Dios, por este tiempo de entrenamiento, de retroalimentación, de escuchar también ejemplos y cosas que han pasado, que nos han ayudado a hacer mejor organización, mejor ministerio y a estar preparados. Abre las mentes de todos mis compañeros, de las personas que están aquí, para seguir aprendiendo. Gracias por sus vidas, por su servicio, por todo lo que son y hacen. Y gracias también por Mandy, que ha estado organizando todo este entrenamiento. Gracias por toda su sabiduría, su vida, y ponemos en tus manos a todos los coaches nuevos que se están entrenando, los que ya tienen tiempo, pero que a lo mejor también necesitan refrescar algunas cosas. Te pedimos que nos sigas guiando para ser mejor como ministerio, como organización. Te lo pedimos esta noche, danos descanso, en el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for